Right. Go.
This short video shows you how to use the indicator PlantTypes, or native plant types, when using Checking for Change, a practical guide to checking whether sites newly managed for conservation are on track to improve. So here I am at the start peg of my survey line, and step 0 is where my foot just goes against the start peg. And this is where I'm going to start looking for plant types. But first, I have to define the area over which I'm looking for some different plant types. So what I'm going to do is grasp each of my elbows to make a circle with my arms, and I'm going to hold them straight out in front of me, and then I'm going to look directly down through that circle. And I'm going to look at the ground and pick some points on the ground that are at the edge of the field of view that I have looking through this circle of my arms. So on my left side, I've got some dead plant material that makes the boundary. On my right side, it's just the edge of those yellow flowers. And directly in front of me, the edge is, those lovely pinky purple flowers right there. So that's the area over which I'm going to look for some different plant types. Now, if you're confident that you can recognize native plants versus exotic or non-native plants, then feel free just to count the number of native plant types you find. If you can't recognize natives versus exotics all the time, don't worry, you're just going to count the number of different sorts of plants you seem to see. You don't need to be able to identify them all, you just need to recognize some of their differences. So what I'm going to do for step 0 is I'm going to get down a little bit closer to the ground so that I can look at the different heights, leaf shapes, colors that I see. And so that I remember, even though I can't identify all the plants, I'm just going to make some notes on my data sheet describing each of them. So I might call this one the curly dead grass, right? So I might write curly dead grass in the space where I get to make notes on my data sheet. I might call this one the sort of fluffy fairy grass, and I might write that on my data sheet. This one might be a tall grass with a separated top, and I could write that on my data sheet. So I've now counted 3 different types of grasses, and I might recognize I have these little yellow flowers. And if I follow them down to the base, I see that they've got broad leaves at the bottom. So everywhere I see those broad leaves, that might be the same plant type as those yellow flowers. I'll count up all the different plant types I see. Maybe it'll end up being 14 or 15 in this area, and I'll write that number for step 0 on my data sheet. Now, I don't do this at every single one of the steps of my survey line. I only do it every 5 steps. So that was step 0. Now I'm going to go to step 5. 1, 2. Here at step 5, I'm going to do the same thing with my arms, grasping the 2 elbows, holding them out in a circle, looking directly down, and defining the area of ground over which I'm going to look for different plant types. But now this time, instead of recording all the plant types I see here, I'm only going to record any that are new, any that I didn't see at previous steps along my survey line. So I've seen this little yellow flower before, I'm not going to count that one. But this seems to be an entirely new type of grass. Purple-topped grass is what I might call it, and I'll count that as a new plant type. I do that for this whole area that I've defined, and I keep going along my survey line. When I get to the end of the survey line, I will have written all the different plant types that I've seen all the way along it. And what I'll do at the bottom of the data sheet is simply add up all of those numbers. So they might total to something like 26 different plant types I've seen on the survey line. And that's it.